We lived in Hannibal. We went to church in Quincy, but we were in church more than we were not in church. And I have a 7 and 11-year-old in Columbia Public Schools now. And last year, my now 5th grader, so she was in 4th grade, I remember she came home so excited because she said, "Mommy, we had a substitute today and she was Black." And it was almost like, oh my goodness, call the press. Like, it was like she was so excited about that. But I completely understand, because when I think back on growing up, and you've heard me tell my story, and I'll share a little bit of it again today, of growing up in small town Hannibal, Missouri. A lot of the times I was the only Black child in my class, but I also think about those teachers and those I had to look up to and aspire to, and the only teacher that I can remember over the course of my K through 12th grade career was Mrs. Kemp from 4th grade, because Mrs. Kemp looked like me. And so you think about representation and how important that is. And that's why I'm very intentional in my celebration and the history that I teach my children, especially in our anniversary month. So this is Black History Month, but since we are intentional about celebrating all year, we just use this as our anniversary, right? So we're really intentional. If anyone follows me on social media, like, I'm really intentional, especially this week, and making sure that my kids are seeing their history and realizing the importance of celebration versus only learning about their history that's rooted in a deep, deep trauma. But understanding that there is so much greatness that we as a people have to offer. So yesterday we wore dashikis. Yeah, is anyone familiar with the dashiki? So we wore our dashikis, and we talk about the rich history and how beautiful they are, and how the colors are so wonderful, and how we don't know exactly which tribe this particular print comes from, because those histories were stripped from us. And so I love it now that we have all of these opportunities to trace our history through DNA tests and find out where we come from. And for us as Black people, we can get an idea of the actual tribes that we came from. Because as everyone is celebrating the finding of their ancestor from way back when, and now know exactly what their DNA makeup is, as a people, that was taken from us. And so I'm really intentional about learning as much as I can learn, and teaching my kids the importance of their history. So today, we're all wearing shirts that say our history is strong. And our children need to see that, not just Black and brown children, all of our children need to see that, so that they don't grow up as adults having to peel back all the layers of everything that we thought we knew. And then we're realizing, oh my goodness, you're human too. And oh my goodness, you're smart. And understanding that we all are human first, but we all have so much to offer. And there's a business case for diversity. There absolutely is. We're finding that companies that are intentional in their efforts to increase diversity and inclusion fare far better than those who don't. So I was just telling my business leaders this morning, we are in the midst of a cultural demographic shift. So in our lifetime, look around the room, in our lifetime, so everyone that's represented here today will be able to see the collective, the minority, the historical minority, in the next 20 to 25 years become the collective majority. So why would we not be intentional in our efforts to learn about other cultures, to learn about other religions, to learn about and understand and appreciate that not everyone has to love the same. Our family structures are different. Even though I love the work that I'm in, being able to be a director of a nonprofit that focuses on diversity, inclusion, and equity, so I'm able to have these conversations that not only impact me personally, but each and every one of us. And so I love being able to have those conversations because they're important. But what if I had been taught a more complete history of who I am, who my ancestors were, and what they contributed. Where would I have been had I been told about hidden figures such as NASA mathematicians Katherine Johnson and Dorothy Vaughan, and NASA engineer Mary Jackson? Like, if I would have known about their contributions and how important they were to where we are today. Where could I have been had I been exposed to Bessie Coleman, the first licensed African-American female pilot? Where could I have been if I had known about the Black excellence that created Tulsa's Black Wall Street before the race riot of 1921? What if I were told these stories? Where would I have been if I had been exposed to Madam C.J. Walker, an African-American businesswoman considered the wealthiest self-made woman in America at the time of her death, focusing on building an empire of hair care products for Black women? Where could I have been if I had been exposed to activist and organizer Fannie Lou Hamer, who so eloquently reminded us that nobody is free until all of us are free? So where could I have been have I been told my complete history? Those are the things that we need to think about in celebrations of like Black History Month, Women's History Month, and so forth. They're there for a reason, because it reminds us to be intentional in our efforts, if not any time, but that specific amount of time that we've dedicated. I encourage you to continue it all year round and make those months anniversaries, but let's definitely be intentional during those times. Thank you.